Hello, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 161, where podcast talks about pop culture things that interest us, and sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John, and I'm joined as always by Andrea. How's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just glad that I could make it here. It's been a busy Friday, not sliding into the weekend. It's been packed.
You're it doesn't feel like a Friday to me. I mean, we're
No.
normally doing this on a Monday, so that kind of feels like that. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that
it's
feels
been
more
busy.
appropriate for like the level of activity I've had today. One activity you can clearly see by the shirt I'm wearing. I gave blood today, so it was a thing, and now I'm gonna be drinking alcohol, which of course they totally recommend. That was the number one thing I
Yeah,
said right after.
I've heard that. Yes, I heard that. Go
I mean,
home, get some rest,
right? They said
pound
replenish
a
fluids.
lager. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
taking fluids very loosely right here, so, it's okay.
yeah,
It's an
yeah. Uh-huh.
interpretation.
Nice. All right. Well, tonight's show is going to be a fun one. We've been doing this sort of daisy chain thing between different movies with actors and stuff like that. We're taking a pause on that as we discuss a show, television series that I subscribed to frickin' Sling TV in order to watch. Okay. So we're going to be talking about just the first two episodes of Shogun from FX tonight. So we'll get there in the latter part of the show.
Mhm.
Um, and before that, we'll cover our weeks and maybe some news. I don't know if it feels important, talk about it. But otherwise, want to get a couple things out of the way right up top. Just want to say we're live in another place tonight,
Yeah.
another platform. So we're per usual now for a few weeks, and we've been live on YouTube,
Mhm,
Twitch, X,
mhm.
which I don't have open. So hopefully that's
I
working
got
all right. And then now
it.
Kick.
Mhm.
So I've had a personal account that I really haven't used much or whatever, but Kick is kind of a new alternative to Twitch, and Restream lets us go in many places. So wherever you want to find us, I apologize. Like our page or whatever on Kick is just basically empty and plain. I literally just made the account for the channel tonight, so this will be the first thing going on there. So
Aw,
yeah.
it's like all brand new again. It's like we're starting over.
hmm
It's our very first
hmm
episode again.
It's a lot more setup and editing and moving crap around. But yeah, lots of places to find us now. So
I just noticed my microphone was, like, all the way over there, so I'm
you
clearly ready
sound
for this.
you sound here. You more in my head now.
Yes,
Perfect.
that's where I wanna be. Just get
Okay.
on in there.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's we'll get into our heads and see what we've been thinking about and consuming and pretty quickly here. But we should cover drink holidays before that. So what do we got?
Short and sweet, we got one. I normally like to only cover drink holidays that have happened between shows. I
Hmm.
don't like to do, like, ones that are forward, because you can't cover them then. They haven't happened yet.
Okay.
So that means we are short on drink holidays. Early March is a barren wasteland. Probably, everybody's saving themselves for St. Patrick's Day. But there is one related holiday on March 5th. Think green. It is Absinthe Day, which I have tried once.
Oh,
I,
really? Okay, it was only that one time.
yeah, I'm surprised. Like I've only had it once. Like I was like trying to think like had I even tried it, and yeah, I had it in a cocktail, but
Well,
like
no,
one time.
no. I know it's been two times then if you're not thinking of this time.
Oh, yes. That's right. That's right.
So yeah,
Yes.
it was I believe a hot summer day in
Mhm.
Coralville, Iowa, and
Mhm.
we had a
Yes.
hotel a ways away, if I am remembering, from the anime convention which
Mhm.
we were attending.
Indeed.
So there is a kind of stinky really hot bus you can take back and forth, hotel shuttle thing, or you
Mhm.
can walk. And we definitely did some walking. And we went to a liquor store, because anime cons are parties. And we picked up some absinthe, not
Ooh.
having tried this particular variety. And I mean, they really kind of oversell absinthe. The whole wormwood thing. Oh, I mean,
Yes.
my first introduction to what absinthe is was in Moulin Rouge.
Oh my god, I was hoping you were gonna say that because same, same.
Yeah.
Where they have, like, one
So-
sip of a drink and suddenly it's like, "Woo,
yeah,
going
woo,
on a ride."
and the music hits and like little green fairies are coming out or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
So, mhm. Well, it's not that, kids. It's not that.
Yeah, I feel like as a younger adult, when you really haven't, like, tried, like, any liquor really, you do sort of fall into that, like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna have one drink," and like, "Whoa." And yeah, when
Mhm.
you're again, when you're first starting out, sure, you kinda gotta watch that, but as an adult, you're like, "That's not how alcohol works."
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
definitely like a simulation of, like, multiple absinthe
Yep.
drinks, either shots or drinks in that
Well,
movie.
and we've been told, like, I mean, there was a whole thing like, is actual absinthe legal here or is wormwood
Right.
not? And like, to my understanding, I think it was then, as is now, it's legal and the same thing. So I think that was a bunch of yeah, garbage, whatever. Um,
Or a
correct
very
me if I'm
clever
wrong.
marketing strategy,
Yeah.
in terms of like, "Hey, oh, it's like the cool thing if you find absinthe and maybe, like, you have the strong stuff, it's not
Yeah.
legal in the US." Like, I could totally see how that'd be a draw.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I like it, in small amounts, in cocktails,
Mhm.
Sazerac, good then. So, yeah,
Yeah.
absinthe. Well, I mean, are you making it the third time tonight, Andrea? So you got absinthe in your glass? Do a little sugar
No,
cube
I
and
wish.
drop the water? No?
Just watch me light the sugar cube up. No, sadly. I didn't have any absinthe and I didn't have time to, like, go find some.
They didn't
Um,
sell it at the blood drive?
they
Bring
they
this
weren't just, like,
home
handing
to
it I mean, they didn't have it
oh,
in the snack caravan, come on. Like, Red
yeah,
Cross
geez.
cookies and absinthe. Classic recovery foods. So, no, sadly, I am breaking my own rules and kind of drinking a drink that is anticipating a holiday this week, um, St. Patrick's Day. I've got a big ginger because I first had this drink at Kieran's on St. Patrick's Day, like, one of the I think 2 times I've gone out to the city and, like, went to party for St. Patrick's. So,
Sure.
that always,
Alright.
like, makes me feel reminiscent of that holiday.
So we're going slancha again. I'm just, going with
Yes,
that
yes.
from last.
Carrying it on
Uh,
over.
mhm. Okay, well, cool. But I want to take a little minute there. And you said, speaking of like classic recovery combination, to throw out a new
Mm.
thing I tried this Tuesday's, yeah, yesterday.
As you were
Yesterday,
recovering?
yeah, yesterday was a heavy day in judo and then jujitsu.
Mm, okay.
And I was pretty, y- like, I try not to eat too soon before that because then you'll feel sick,
Yeah.
but you need enough calories. Usually it's not so difficult that I don't bring like an energy drink or like rather like a Powerade or a, whatever
Sure.
sports drink. But was feeling extra depleted, and they had one of the guys had a packet that you add to your water, and I've never done like the Mios or the anything. I don't like any of that stuff. But this one is called LMNT. So I think it just spelled out LMNT. And
Is it really sad that my mind immediately was like TMNT?
it's not
Teenage
sad.
Mutant Ninja Turtles?
That's no. I'm like lethargic mutant ninja turtles or something else. It's, um, but it was. actually really good, but it's quite salty, so it's kinda like fruit and salt. It's,
Mm,
so you're really getting what you need to sort of retain water and get stuff back in your system.
sure.
But then it's kinda like a margarita in a way, it's kinda
Oh,
salty
yeah.
sweet, and the
Sure.
only sugar in it is some stevia leaf extract, which I'm not a fan of, but
Mhm.
I couldn't taste it in this particular flavor. It was the
Okay.
last ingredient, and I couldn't taste it, so, um, just saying, LMNT, if you're interested in a rehydration thing, I tried it this, week or yesterday and thought it was pretty good. So, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I've never heard of that before. I've heard, obviously of other things like when you were talking about like, oh, Mio water and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'd try it. I'd try it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah. See, Alan just posted in chat 1,000 milligrams of sodium. We looked at that too. It's like, is
Woo!
that okay to have that much salt? That's a lot of salt. But
I mean, sadly, that's less than it's in some servings of like packaged foods or like soups. You know what I mean?
mhm,
I was
sure.
I was sh I was shocked, like, making a can of soup, how much sodium's up in there, or, like, I don't know, some, like,
Yeah.
prepackaged dinners and stuff like that, that
Yep.
you don't taste it, but then you look at the nutrition, and you're like, "Damn,
Yeah.
I just put that down."
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
suppose I guess I don't usually I'm usually looking at calories and sugar and maybe
right,
carbs. I'm honestly not looking at the sodium. So,
right. I
yeah.
forget that a lot, but I've been kind of on, like I don't know, I've just been seeing stuff places that's like, really we need to reduce, like, the amount of salt in our diets and as a parent of 2 young children's, it is easy to buy, like, a prepackaged something sometimes and, like, make a pasta and, you know, just be like,
Yep.
"Yeah, just tonight's gotta be low key." So I'm trying to pay attention to that, make some smarter choices,
Sure.
which is the advice everybody came to this podcast for. You're welcome.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm going to give everybody, you moving on and connecting to what you're drinking there. I didn't realize this was a
Alright.
rule of yours, but yeah, I'm definitely heading forward here as well for St. Patrick's Day. I have a
Cheers.
Guinness, um, ready to rock the Guinness. I've been looking forward to one of these.
Did
So
that
I'm going to,
say did it say America on it or something?
yeah, it does. It's like a weird looking can, and it's
Oh,
got
okay.
like an eagle and a move like a RV and stuff like that.
I see. Okay, okay.
So
Okay. I
yeah, I don't
thought I was,
know.
like, being deceived at first, but I was like, "No, I'm pretty sure I saw America."
Yeah, it's Guinness Stands with America special edition can. For every Guinness gives back pack made, we're contributing $1 up to $1 million towards local and national charitable organizations.
Cool.
So
I like it. I like it.
that's what that is. I'm gonna give everybody a little ASMR because I don't have
Ah,
the noise canceling thing now,
you
and
give it.
I'd like the sound of this, so hopefully it's not too loud. I didn't need to add that last bit. All right. And then we'll try to get a good pour going here too.
Oh, there you
I'm gonna
go.
make a mess is what I'm gonna do. This is make a mess.
Nah, you got the tilt. You're good. You're good. You don't really have to worry as much with, like, the darker beers about the head. I mean, obviously it happens, but, like, it's just so much less than, like, your IPAs or hazies or whatnot.
Yeah, see, it's a little short though.
Mhm.
I got a little
Mhm.
short. So I mean
Yep.
it feels like a tall glass, but I yeah,
That's
it's
good.
not the perfect pour. I don't know. It's got room in there. So I
Call
apologize,
Guinness and
everybody.
complain. Call Guinness and complain.
Yeah. Nope, it's my fault. My fault.
Get
All
my
right.
dollar back from charity.
Yeah.
I'm kidding,
Well,
I'm kidding.
cheers, slancha.
Cheers.
I hope everybody has a good St. Patrick's Day if you choose to celebrate. Um, moving on. So yeah, that's the week to come, St.
Mhm.
Patrick's Day. How about the week past? What's been happening?
Indeed. Indeed. I've watched a smattering of things, not too much of any one thing. Watched a couple of episodes of The Bear. I kind of had drifted away and was focusing on stuff we were watching for this show and just kind of forgot that I had started it. So I was like, I got to go pick that back up. Um, I still like it. I feel like I'm watching it a little too sporadically and I should watch it more consistently because a couple of the characters are very frustrating. And I don't know if that's like a function of me not being in the show or if like that's the way they're written. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to get back into that one. Because it's obviously been recommended to me multiple times, plus, won a multitude of awards. And
Yeah. I've been
yeah,
seeing
just
advertised now, you
yes.
know, it
I
seems
suppose
good.
now that you're on the Sling TV. Is that where you saw it?
Yeah. I get ah, where
I
are
know,
you
I know.
watching Shogun? Where are you watching Shogun?
Hulu, Hulu.
Hulu.
Same place I'm
Okay.
watching The Bear.
Do you have
Ads,
you have
yes.
ads? You do. Okay.
Okay, it did. I saw your comment about the ads, and yes, and also I cracked up because at least twice for the ads, they were advertising Shogun, and I was like, "I'm here. I'm watching your show. Like, stop stop
Oh
advertising
my,
to me. I'm in it."
wow.
So it was very, like, meta and
They
weird.
wanna make sure you know awesome stuff is coming. Yeah.
It was so funny. But yes, I know the pain of being, you know, cut by advertising right at, like, a good moment.
Well, see, I am not used to this anymore. I
Sure.
haven't had cable or really live television for a while. Like, I'd turn on a trial here and there for sports for people coming over or something like that maybe. Um, but I don't have ads on YouTube,
Mhm.
and I watch a lot of stuff on there. And then every other streaming service, I don't have ads either. And then I, like a sucker, paid more so to not have ads on Amazon Prime. So,
Sure.
I don't get ads, and now this is particularly egregious because I'm watching this show that's an hour long or whatever, and it feels like the breaks are intermittent, like it's not consistent.
Yes.
Um, and then the
They're very
cutoffs are
sudden.
strange. Yes, they're very
Mhm.
sudden, and I'm like really getting in the show, and then bam, and they're the same freaking commercials over and over. It's something with, I'm guessing it's because I'm watching it on demand, not live,
Mhm.
that there are these just canned commercials for the same Disney or ESPN or
Yep.
ABC commercials
Yep. I
over
have
and
the
over
same
and over.
thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I
It is
mean,
maddening.
first world problems, but it's just like regular cable television was not this bad. So I feel like I need to catch up to record it and then watch the live recording, and the commercials at least would be varied, I'm guessing.
Yeah. It's hard because I feel like TV used to be made for commercial breaks, so they would have
Yeah.
these, like, natural beats, and, I
Yes.
mean, obviously, a show like this isn't made for a commercial break, so they have to insert somewhere, um, but now there's, like, not great places because they're not, like, anticipating this, and so they just, like, you know, put it wherever. Oh my god, it sounds like some sort of sexual innuendo, like, this long extended sexual innuendo.
They just put it
But
wherever.
I know. They just insert it. Um, but seriously though, I mean, yeah, so this is what happens. Like you're really getting into the plot, the story, whatever, the action that's happening, and they're just like, I don't know, I guess it's gotta go somewhere, so here. And it just like slaps you in the face.
Okay, Andrea, you're just trying now. Just
I
trying.
mean really, how could I not? Um But yeah, no, it's really tough, and I've noticed particularly egregious I've felt like with Hulu, um, when I was catching up on, like, old seasons of Housewives, or I was watching I remember it drove me crazy watching Pam and Tommy. I really, really got into binging that show, which was excellent, highly recommend. Um, and yeah, the commercial breaks would just pop up in these, like, really intense, like, character moments, and
Mhm.
I was, like, leaning forward, and I'd be like, "Ah, commercial
Yeah.
break." It's like
Yeah.
a physical reaction.
Yeah, it is,
Ugh,
it is. It I really I didn't know that FX I thought it was now considered like a premium network or whatever, and I didn't know they still
mm,
had ads. So it
yeah,
was a shock to me. But yeah, okay. Well, we'll get into the show more later. Just had
yeah,
yeah, like say something about that.
of
Um,
course. Yeah,
yeah.
I saw your comment too, and yeah, couldn't resist adding my
Mhm.
own sense of, like, out of body when I was watching commercials about Shogun during
Mhm.
Shogun. Uh, yeah, the other things that I've watched, I've kept up with, Delicious in Dungeon. I binged that last week to catch up on a bunch of episodes, and now, like, I'm back in, like, my weekly rotation, which is nice. And then, yeah, I watched the Oscars last week. Hadn't really planned on it because that was the day we had the girls' joint birthday party.
Hmm.
Um, but we kinda woke up from a nap and had some dinner and, like, put the girls to bed, and we're like, "Oh, hey, like, why don't we just be chill, have a drink, and celebrate everything we've done this weekend?" And so we drank champagne, just straight up old school, and but
Nice.
wore our PJs,
Okay.
juxtaposition, classy and
Right.
comfy, and yeah, watched the show, and it was nice.
Okay.
They did keep it pretty well paced, even though I very much appreciated Jimmy Kimmel's like opening monologue, and he was like, "So this show is starting earlier. It's not going to impact how late we go. I can tell you we're already 5 minutes behind schedule, and no, that's not just a joke. It's literally something that someone just told me." And I was like, "I love it." Opening monologues, and they're already 5 minutes behind.
Yeah.
Like, classic.
Yeah, I don't
So
know why they can't, they need to hire some Japanese train conductors to keep time here or something. 'Cause
we were discussing how awkward it is with like the orchestra playing people off.
yeah.
Because I know they're trying to keep time, but they're, like, playing people off, and it's, like, really arbitrary and judgy because like, certain people get played off, but certain people
Yeah.
don't, and it's, like, all these judgments about, like, "Yeah, your category is not really worth it, we'll play off."
Right.
So we, like, sort of thought maybe all potential winners should or all like, nominees, that was the word I was searching for, should maybe submit, like
Their
a
acceptance video?
or like a speech that with like a word count, you know what I mean? Like some sort of way to
Mm,
like
hmm.
everybody's tied to a standard that should only, unless you're the world's slowest reader or, you know, deliberately dragging it out, should kind of keep it in a time frame that's equal. I don't know. Just something so we can arbitrarily decide how much time everybody gets, not like some people take up more and less.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
It was just like an idea we were kicking around.
yeah. It's interesting, like, the award show in general, like, just they don't generally do very well anymore, and, like, even, like Apple with their I know it's not an awards ceremony, but it's, their presentation. You used to be always we do they do a big
Yeah.
thing, and they do it live, and, historically, there's been moments where something goes wrong, and then when everybody was home, they went and did things pre-recorded in
Mhm.
studio and then just hit go live and let it play
Right,
out. So it's a
right.
big production already done. And for the most part, they like to do that now. And because it removes a lot of the pressure and the
Mhm.
mistakes that can happen. So I don't know, just less in person events. Do you do you want to see the award show stick around? Should it be just like a pre-recorded thing? Do we want, I mean,
Mhm.
like, I don't know. I don't know what to think about because even the Game Awards now is like they
Sure,
go long, and the Game
sure,
Awards is more about people tuning in to see previews of upcoming things than to actually watch the awards. And I don't know.
sure. I mean, when I think about award shows, I mean, I would like them to stick around because I think that people feel vested in the outcomes. Um, and it is something fun if you're really into a particular, cultural arena that you can celebrate. I would like to see particularly entertainment awards like movies and TV awards like pared down a bit. Like, do we really need like the SAG awards? Do we need the Oscars? Do we need the Golden Globes? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many, like it's awards season. I don't
Yeah.
know that I need all of those. I don't know that I need this whole like campaign to win the award.
Right.
Um, so I think some of that could be pared back. One award show that I think that no, I know I love and I know benefits from being live is the Tonys, because that's the point. They're
Mm.
theater awards.
Right.
Like, they should be live. There should be mistakes because that's theater. That's like
Sure.
an embodiment of the medium. Um, so I would never want that to ever be pre-recorded. I mean, obviously they can have bits and things here and there if, people can't make it or whatever, but yeah, that to me feels like super appropriate for what it's doing. So yeah, I would like the award show to stick around. I could have it streamlined. We could have kind of more sections, if you were worried about a show going too long, we could have like if we wanted to do multiple things like costumes and acting and, break it up a little bit. Um
Hmm.
and have it over like multiple nights or, I don't know, something new and different. But yeah, I don't think the award show needs to go anywhere, but I think it could reinvent itself.
Do you think the like because like not many people watch the Oscars, but do you think the "I've won an Oscar" holds sway yet? Like, does it matter? Does the average audience member watching a trailer for whatever it says, starring Academy Award winner this, directed
Mhm.
by Academy Award winner, it's still used in marketing. Do you think
Mhm.
that gets people into seats with that
I
these days?
I mean, I think it helps with, like, name recognition. Do you know what I mean? When it's, like, repeated and splashed everywhere, I feel like it does get, like, kind of into your subconscious in a way that's like, "Oh, that's recognizable." And so, yeah, I think there's some probably circumstantial evidence to, like, name recognition and familiarity that might, like, if you're on the edge, tip you more into like, "Yeah, I could go see that," or whatever, or I could stream that, because it has
Mhm.
this actress in it or whatever. Um, and obviously, like, I do think there's that streaming platforms think there's some value in that because they create sections around like, "These are the Oscar nominees that we have.
Yeah.
These are the Emmy," you know what I mean? There's like a pull, a lure, a draw to those, like, "We carry this one if you wanna see it before award season." So the whole industry is kind of like ramping itself up in that way. Like, it's
Yeah.
all tied together. So everybody does each other a service in that way. Um, I couldn't ever quantify that for you. And I'm sure there have been people who try, but I think it matters in terms of like the repetition and familiarity for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
And
I don't
there's
it's
there's
just
there's
interesting.
still like an impression of quality there.
Yeah.
Whether you
That's
buy
what
that or not, I think there's that impression.
right. Right. Yeah, it's interesting what ends up like carrying weight or not. When you look at the
Mhm.
video games industry, a lot of times when someone says, "Oh, this game won game of the year," they're referring to the Game Awards by Jeff Keighley, but
Mhm.
everyone does their own game awards.
Mhm.
Like most tons of YouTube channels, independent people or whatever, they'll do their game of the year, their best this or that. And then IGN and GameSpot and the other ones, traditional media outlets, they do their own as well.
Yeah.
So there's not one game of the year. But it's who do you choose to, when you say they won it, which one are you giving credibility to
Mhm.
and why?
Mhm.
Um, because every one of them is just a different panel of people, oftentimes maybe having in movies case seen them all or not, or in video
Right.
games case, maybe played them all or not.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. That's why, like, I a lot of times it's like I don't want to trust what I feel is probably a biased panel of whoever. Then, like, why did they get to judge what's best? But then you can't go by fan vote either, because
Mhm.
you're gonna have thousands of people voting that have only played or watched a fraction of the things nominated.
Yes.
So it's all quite arbitrary and sort of like you know, uh,
Yeah.
it's a I don't know. It's interesting. I guess
Self-selected, yeah.
yeah, it's easy to get caught up in it's just easy to get caught up in the fun of it or something, the pageantry of it, like the
Mhm.
Oscars. Everybody's dressing up all fancy and oh,
Mhm.
everybody I see on screen is all in one spot. So
Yep.
yeah. But
Yeah,
did
it's
you have
funny you're ta
a oh go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's funny you're talking about, like, people choosing, and I used to vote in, like, the People's Choice Awards. I
Hmm.
used to love doing that. That was so much fun. But yeah, I was definitely one of those people, like, I tried to vote in categories that, like, it used to allow you to just vote in certain categories where, like, didn't have to vote in everything, and you could vote
Right.
as many times as you want in, and then they started limiting it to, like, certain times a day, certain votes. Now you have to vote for everything. You have to, like, log in and register. But yeah, way back in the day, I definitely tried to only vote in categories that I'd seen everything, or, like, maybe had missed one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I gave myself, like, one that I hadn't, a TV show or a movie or whatever that I hadn't watched, but can't do it
Yeah.
anymore, which I don't know if
Yeah.
makes the vote more or less, like, fair, but seems weird.
I mean, you need to be able to abstain from a particular thing, because if you just don't know, otherwise you're just going from the kind of, well, I've heard this
Right.
about that, and so
Exactly.
therefore I'm just using other people's opinions and not my
Right.
own to.
So, like, is that really, yeah, is that really the people's choice then?
Yeah. And then if you can vote many times, I always thought that was silly too. So it's like
Yep.
the people with the least things to do can just sit and spam their favorite. I mean, what?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But well, okay, so um last bit about the Oscars or whatever. Was there anything surprising to you or you thought really should have won? And then fashion-wise, was there, like, any big hits or misses?
Sure. I would say the biggest surprise is probably no surprise, because it's been talked about, Emma Stone's win for Best Actress.
Okay.
She really didn't expect it. The audience clearly wasn't expecting it. And I think that was for, like, I wasn't expecting it either. So that at home was definitely like a whoa, like, I audibly gasped,
Okay.
um, because I had kind of charted out some movies and performances that I thought were going to win, and I was mostly kind of following a pattern. And um, yeah, a lot of the others were expected, and that one was not. So that was
Yeah,
really
who else
interesting.
was in there? Was, Emily Blunt in there or something, right? Maybe,
She was not.
oh, okay.
She was supporting.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Emma Stone was Best Actress.
Okay.
So Lily Gladstone was in there. Gosh, I want to say Annette Bening. Who else was in there? Oh, now I can't even remember the entire category.
That's because
Um,
Emma Stone was the best, I guess.
I guess she was. And now I actually really do. I was flicking through Hulu to get to Shogun, and Poor Things is on Hulu, and that's
Oh,
what she
okay.
won for. So I was like, "Oh, I really should watch that. That's really interesting." So marketing works.
Sure.
And then fashion wise, okay, so a feature of 2 dresses stood out to me. I love it. It was very divisive. It's floating shoulder straps where, like, they're very
Okay.
structured and they kind of, like, float up off the shoulder, and 2 actresses were wearing it. Emily Blunt was one. I loved her outfit, and
Okay.
Florence Pugh was the other. Loved it. Loved that, like, stylized, up, raised. I just thought it was gorgeous and beautiful, and I love when people take a risk in their silhouettes.
Okay.
And so I appreciated the risk on both of those.
So wait, so it just pops up a little bit. That's
Mhm.
I'm
Yep,
looking
it
at the
just
right image. Okay.
yeah, it's, like, Emily Blunt in, like, a champagne colored
Yeah.
gown. Yep, and then Florence Pugh is the other one who had the same.
I
So
believe
I
it's Florence Pug. Mm.
So, yeah, so
Uh,
I loved their kind of, like, risk taking in that, just wearing something new and different. And then, just as, like, a classic gorgeous look, Anya Taylor-Joy. I loved her dress. It was very
okay.
of the moment. There were a lot of, like, soft, champagne pastels, light colors, and then this kind of, like, seashell, thin mermaid I
Mhm.
think they called it, like, mermaid core,
Yeah.
'cause everything's a core now. So that was gorgeous. Yeah, I really liked her look.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm just taking a look at them here. I think I like it on Florence Pugh here because it
Yes,
kind of does the sea creature thing like you're talking. Like I look at
right?
the bottom part, it's almost like the like part of a jellyfish or something, or a little,
Yes, totally.
and so it looks like it's the whole thing is maybe floating underwater a little bit or something.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
I
I love the risk she took.
I don't know that I like it as much on. It looks like ah, it looks no, I don't think I like it on Emily Blunt. And then there's a sort of weird crotch outline in silver
I
on
don't love
hers
that part of
too,
that dress.
so I was getting the underwater vibes from Florence, and I'm getting the,
Mhm.
like, "This thing came out of the dry cleaners, and it's stiff as a board. I gotta break it in." So, and
Yeah, I didn't love all aspects of her dress, but like I said, I like that trend, and I could see it happening in other silhouettes. I was just, like, looking at some other stars and feeling like they were wearing things I'd seen before, or, like, they were playing it very safe. There were no, like, big, huge risks. I
mhm,
guess the one person who did take a big, huge risk, and I hated it, was Ariana Grande. Hated
okay.
it. Hated her, like, bubblegum pink giant bubble wrap thing.
Oh boy.
People yeah, it's a lot. People were like, "Oh, no, she's totally wearing the dress. The dress isn't wearing her," and I absolutely thought it was the other way around. I think every part of that outfit was wearing her, and she looks, like, engulfed.
She's like a, partially pop kernel of popcorn, except with
I don't think it's
pink
good.
dust.
Yeah.
Well, for
So,
everybody at home, if you're interested, you have to look these up.
yes.
Um,
I
I
also I was just gonna say,
okay.
when watching fashion, I mean, I don't want people to be mean. Like, I don't wanna be like, somebody's walking down the red carpet and be like, "Oh my god," like, "Rip that off my eyes," like, but everybody was just like, "Oh, they look so perfect. Oh, it's so good.
Mm,
This dress is just like and I was just like, maybe not everything can be amazing.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
maybe, we could just be like, I don't love, or just, like, get rid of the commentary if everybody's just gonna be like, "Oh, it's so good." Like, don't comment on it. Just, like, have us watch the red carpet and
Mhm.
play some music or something, and we can all make our own judgments about what we like at home.
Well, that's why the panel before, on what Fashion Police or whatever, that was where it was at because then, they weren't interviewing them and on the spot like to say
Right.
something nice. They just were
Right.
like, yeah, looking at it and going through it. And so that was good. Cause
Right.
yeah, I'd be
Like,
like, oh, well, that's really unique.
right.
Yeah.
Right, it's, like, awkward if
Mhm.
you're, like, face to face and trying to comment on
Yeah.
somebody's clothing, and again, I didn't need anybody to, like, tear someone to shreds, um, but it just felt like everything was just, like, the best, and it was so amazing, and, like, everybody just looked perfect. It was just like, "This
I
feels
don't
a
know.
little lip servicey."
I think we could use um what's his name? The dog from Conan O'Brien to be on the red carpet.
Oh, god, I haven't
He
yeah,
was a
I haven't thought
puppet,
about that. Yeah, I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Shoot, what was his name?
I
That was always funny when he'd go into things and make fun of people.
Yeah, I
Uh,
totally know what you're
yeah.
talking about. But
Triumph.
Triumph,
Yep.
insult comic
Triumph.
dog.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I remember now. Oh, man.
So I could use him. Hmm.
I mean,
He should be
I
on the
just
red carpet.
I just miss my dear old Joan Rivers, you
Yeah, I
know?
know. Yep.
Just making her comments and not giving an F about what anybody thinks.
Yep. So I looked up this picture of Anya Taylor Joy quick. I know I'm like delaying on this here for a bit, but it just things are popping in my head. So it seems like the trend right now for some people in Hollywood is to do this weird like suction thing on their face, and it
Oh,
makes them
yeah.
look gaunt. I don't remember
Yes.
what that's called, but it's not good, and they should all
Yeah.
stop it.
Yes.
Like it's not helping.
Yes.
What are you doing here?
Everybody in Hollywood, take a foot off the pedal on procedures and on Ozempic or
Yeah,
Wegovy or any other related,
yeah.
unless you medically need it.
Yeah, we're not health professionals,
Brains.
but like from the outside, I'd say this isn't it's not great.
Yeah.
Um it's just because I've been watching hearing some things now, like some articles are being written, some people are commenting on like how Gen Z looks like they're aging faster than millennials. Like a lot of Gen Z you'll see is it's like they seem as old or older than a millennial and they're really like a decade younger or something. And
Yeah.
yeah, some people are like, they're trying to determine why. There's this video that kind of went viral of this dude with a beard and stuff saying, I went a big fan of The Rock and I waited in line for hours as Andrea raises her eyebrow without
I
before I
know.
even said his name.
It's
Waiting in
I
line.
felt it coming. I have that
Yeah.
intuition whenever his name is mentioned or, thought of.
Yeah. Um, this guy was waiting in line for an autograph from Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and I waited a long time. And he had like it was like a poster or something. He asked him to sign it to Dave or whatever it was, and The Rock put on there like, your father is awesome. Sign The Rock, but
Mhm.
it because he waited in line so long. But he wasn't a father. He was the person asking. He's like, so The Rock is like, oh, things were a lot some different in our time or something like that. Pat him on the shoulder, then he was gone. That's his story, anyways. And he's like, he says, Tom Holland is older than me. Zendaya is older than me. I'm like 25. And, he's thinking he's like 40 or something. So, uh,
Awkward.
yeah.
I mean, are they
Well,
saying why they look
Well,
older?
some
Is
people
it
are saying like people are getting too stressed out about one thing or another. So it's
mm,
like whether it's stress in life or it's the ability to deal with stress. Some people were saying like the need to put on like chemicals on your face from a very young age before you are aging,
mm,
or doing like fillers and face treatments and stuff like that in like probably bigger cities or something like that. I mean, heard for years or whatever, people buy their 16-year-old new boobs or something like that. But now everybody's doing the fillers in the face and different stuff.
mm.
And what it makes you look like is someone that is older trying to appear
Look,
younger.
yeah.
And they're actually younger and making themselves look like that kind of person. So,
There is, like, an unnaturalness to those things that
yeah.
speaks to, like, you might have, like, smooth skin, which is, like, youthful on the surface, but, like, your lack of movement is always, like, something we associate with aging.
Yeah.
Like fake aging or, like,
Yeah.
prevention of aging. So, yeah, it does
Yep.
make you seem older.
Yeah. And if you keep at it, because obviously if you get something done and your face is extra stiff for a while, then it loosens up again and you have
Right,
a period where you're probably pretty normal.
right.
But then everything's start coming back and you got to do it again. So if you never want that period of like decline again, you have to keep doing it. And
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm not an expert. I just
You
like it's,
eventually
I,
No, you eventually hit that tipping point where it's like you've done it too much and now, like, it's unnatural and having the opposite effect.
mhm. It's like you can if you really stink and you cover yourself in Axe body spray, you still stink, but you just, like, masked it some. Like, we know you smell, but Ugh,
I don't know, Axe can
okay.
cover anything, I think.
Is
I
it?
think it just
Okay, alright.
rounds out your nostrils and just
Dominating, yeah.
it's just too dominant. But yes, you would still stink. I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
it's
I
like
was thinking about oh, no, go ahead.
well, it's like, "Oh, how's your beer?" "I don't know. It's my nostrils are just Axe." And it's just like
I am drinking Axe body
yeah,
spray.
yeah.
Ugh, oh. Um, I was gonna say, I got Botox once. Um,
Oh,
yep, but when I was 16 for migraines, and I've
okay,
never
sure.
had them come back, um,
Wow.
which is wonderful. I don't know if it was
Mhm.
just like a fluke or, just something that this particular treatment for migraines worked especially well for me, or what it is. But yeah, I always think it's funny. Like I had Botox once, and as a 16-year-old, I don't feel like I thought, gee, this is making my skin so smooth. Like I need to have it happen again. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Mhm.
my skin was already smooth. I'm 16.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was kind of
Well
like weirdly ineffective in terms of like, look how nice and wrinkle free I am. It's like I'm already wrinkle free.
yeah. Well, and you know how, like, kids wanna look like adults, but then when you get to be a certain point an adult,
Stops
you'd
it.
rather yeah. So, maybe, like, trying to teach your kids, like, "Hey, you wanna be youthful for as long as you can." And I don't know, also, if kids are being allowed access to TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and everything they see is through a filter,
Mhm.
and then they look in the mirror, they're like, "Well, I'm supposed to go for the thing with the filter that smooths everything out and gets rid of it.
Mhm.
So why don't I'm trying to emulate in that in real life."
Right.
Well, firstly, the filter is probably not fooling anyone. I can see that you have a filter on. And, you know, I don't know, it's probably messing with some kids' heads.
Yeah, I mean, because yeah, you can see as an adult, sure. Like you can make the judgment of like, I can see you have the filter on. Like I can separate the fact that your photo looks perfect with the reality of like, I know that you made it look that way.
Yeah.
But, as a kid with a developing brain, like that pause for I acknowledge this photo looks perfect and also I know what it took to make it happen isn't
Mhm.
there. It's like, "This photo looks perfect. What do I do?"
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's overly simplistic, but I mean, it is like the kind of tendency, like, it just isn't there, like, to question as thoroughly or, like, the experience isn't there of an adult
Yeah.
saying, "I've seen this too many times, like, I know what's behind here, and I've
Yeah.
lived this life."
It is amazing how people try to deceive themselves and others, though. It's incredible.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
I've watched, Ashley watches the 90 Day Fiancé stuff, and the pictures people show someone else from over the season themselves, like, "Are you kidding me?" They like, it's ridiculous. And it's like, they're gonna meet you in person, yes? That's the goal? Like,
Yes.
what are
No,
we
I
doing
love it.
here?
I haven't watched this yet, but, Dana and Phil got me into Love Is Blind,
Okay,
and
yep.
on the newest season, there's a girl who's, like, describing herself to the cameras and to her potential dates, and she's like, "People, like, get me confused with Megan Fox." And
Okay,
it's like,
wow.
that's, I mean, bold of you. She is a
Yes, mhm,
beautiful woman, so, like, you're gonna put that in people's minds before they meet you.
yep,
And apparently she does not look like Megan Fox. Like, I mean, and it's not like, she's, I don't know, 6 feet tall and blonde and blue-eyed and like the complete
right,
opposite or whatever. But
right,
like you wouldn't like mistake them for each
right,
other.
yeah.
Or, if you were like squinting, you wouldn't be like, "Oh, that's Megan Fox." Um, so it's just like your potential partner right now can't see you in these pods, but eventually you meet. Like,
Yeah,
you do the face to face, and if you don't look like
mhm,
Megan Fox, like, what are you doing?
yeah, I don't I don't understand.
Why would you
I don't
set that
understand.
bar?
I
Like,
don't know.
make that very specific comparison. and
Yeah.
then that's the image they have in their heads.
Mhm.
Anyway.
Yeah. When I pump my victims full of, narcotics and all sorts of drugs, they think I'm Megan Fox. I don't know, it's
Oh,
get them off their rocker and
I
picture
mean,
I don't know.
yes, the
Hmm.
realities of a reality show.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Alright,
Anyway,
well,
I have
interesting.
taken us
Y
quite far afield.
No, no, I keep, poking and prodding and seeing, it strings on. I'm gonna do it once more,
Mm,
because you brought up Phil and Dana, and they got you turned on to that show.
yeah.
They brought up, uh, Highlander? Outlander?
Outlander?
Um,
Sure.
yeah, I think it's Outlander.
Mhm.
On,
I mean, Highlander is
but
like an older series, so I just I think
well,
probably Outlander.
let's see. This isn't new. It's like 7 series. I thought it was maybe, um,
Highlander
let me
has,
check this.
Sean Bean, Ben.
Oh, okay, yep. So it's not Highlander.
Yeah.
it's,
I mean, it's definitely a
Outlander.
show, so, I would've
Yeah. So Ashley Without Me started, Outlander. Have you watched this ever?
I have indeed.
What do you think of it?
It is good. It is quite good. It is definitely a sexy times show.
Yeah,
So my parents watched it and I was like, "We're not really gonna talk about it. Like, we'll talk about, like, very overarching things, but I'm just gonna,
right.
like, put out of my head," because it is definitely like a romance driven
Sure.
show, and it's based on, romance novels, um, which are, very appropriately categorized. But it is a very, very good show. I like it a lot. It's fun because, I mean, it weaves in, like, history, like fact-based history, not just like,
Mhm.
it's historical fiction, but it's grounded in a lot of fact. Um, and then it's got a little bit of like sci-fi element in the time travel.
Yep.
And then it's got, romance. It's got a lot of stuff. And it's fun because it's almost to me like oh my gosh. Hold on and let me gather my brain.
It's another romance thing or another period piece
No,
thing or another
it's the video game,
Witcher.
nope, that Chris
Oh,
plays. Um,
Assassin's Creed?
yes! So it's like set in a
Oh,
different
because of
place
the
and
time thing.
time. Yeah, because it's like time travel, you, like, go back and it's, like, set in a different place and time, like, they do Scotland in the first, they do France, they do America during the Revolution,
Oh,
like,
interesting. Okay, I didn't know it
so
changed. Okay.
yeah, yeah, so it, like, changes locations and plots, like, and kind of, like, time periods based on when the characters are able to, like, time travel and be with each other. Um,
Okay.
and I mean, it all makes, like, logical sense. I mean, obviously, it's, like, a little bit of a stretch, but you
Mhm.
get there. So that's just why, like, the rotating cast or sorry, the rotating, like, seasons and settings made me think of Assassin's
Yeah.
Creed like that.
Is it good all the way through?
I haven't watched the end yet, so I
Oh,
cannot tell you.
okay.
I
Alright.
haven't watched the latest
Well,
season because 'cause I've been doing other
he
stuff.
the hard thing
It
about,
it did fall
I
off a
mean
little bit, like, around season 4 for me, so
okay. The hard
I
thing
took a
with,
pause.
Ashley and I for sure is that I can find all kinds of things to watch that
Mhm,
she's not interested in.
mhm.
But it is hard for her to find things to watch that I wouldn't be interested in because I like so many
Sure,
things.
sure.
The exception to that generally is like, uh, 90 Day Fiance and some ghost shows and some of that, some reality things, whatever. I'm like, I'll like watch over her shoulder type of thing, but I don't care.
You need to sit down,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. So I can't be like, "Oh, how'd you start this show without me?" Because she's gonna watch some shows, I'm probably gonna like it, and, so we can't always watch things at the same time. So, I'm just debating whether I need to, like, make time as well to start this show or not. Um,
Mhm.
Watching it basically separately from her or whatever, but
Sure.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's really good. The first couple of seasons especially are very gripping. It's fun. It's got a lot of different things in it. Dracula's in it.
yeah, I saw that.
Grant
Graham
McTavish. Yep.
McTavish. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I love his character. Um, yeah, I mean, it was definitely like hot a lot of awards. Like, people were rushing to like throw awards at it. It was a very well done series. The villain, Blackjack Randall, is in the early seasons is insanely compelling.
So is
And
that the
definitely
husband? Is
yep,
that what you're talking? Okay.
yep.
Who's in Casino Royale? I just realized.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yeah, so I mean, they've got like a quality cast, they've got interesting stories. It is very good. Um, but it's obviously a value judgment on your part.
Okay. There's just so many things to do. But I have to
Mhm.
say, it gets me excited, like just makes me want to grow a beard and ready for Renfest,
Yep.
St. Patrick's Day, Hot
We're
D's
going to
coming this
Scotland in
year.
June. Like, I'm ready.
Wait, what?
I'm going to
Oh
Scotland in
yeah,
June.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yep.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh, so jealous. Okay. Um. Okay. Well, better start Outlander over again, Andrew, and we'll talk about all 7 seasons on here.
All right. Definitely with all my spare time doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's been some good stuff we got there. I really didn't do a lot this week other than like, try to get Shogun in here. And then the other
Mhm.
stuff was some anime related things. So let's say that for the
Sure.
anime show. Um, Not a whole lot there either, but a little bit. And then some video games. Still managed to play some Lethal Company, a little bit more Persona 3. So just slowly picking away at some of those things here and there. So
Nice.
yeah. Um, Speaking of video games, I was gonna bring up these news stories, but I don't know. I feel like in the video game space right now, other than like tonight, there was a little burst of leaked potential specs for the PS5 Pro
I did see
that
that.
kind of came out. Otherwise, gaming industry's pretty much been dominated by what's being dubbed as Gamergate 2 talk, and everything
Mhm.
else is like kind of it hits the pan and it burns up and is gone and then it's back.
Mhm.
So, um, I did watch the Xbox partner preview
Mhm.
and I thought it was fine. Thought it was good enough. I enjoyed some of the things there, and and then the baffling story was the Star Wars Battlefront Classic trilogy came out, and it's like they thought no one was gonna play this thing because they only put out like 3 servers for the thing, and it seems like nobody could play. So, according to Culture Crave on X, 10,000 people tried to play on launch night, but there were only 3 multiplayer servers with 64 players in
Jesus.
each. So, I am not a mathematician. I'm quite poor, in my math skills actually, but I don't think that works out. Um,
I don't think those numbers are close to each other.
yeah. So, I hope they've gotten that sorted, kind of add a few more servers, let people play the game.
Good lord. I feel like there was
I mean,
another
that's
game recently that people just, like, couldn't play because it was just crashing
well,
incessantly.
Helldivers.
Yeah,
Helldivers
that's it.
2,
2,
yes,
Helldivers 2, yes.
but
Oh god, I could
Helldivers
not
2,
on X.
yeah, there was a lot of, you know, that they just really they gave it a good effort. It just really blew up beyond their expectations.
Yeah,
So I guess if you say this blew up above their expectations, but it just seemed like their expectations
really.
were in the basement,
They
for
were.
this. So
Uh,
yeah. Yeah, I think Helldivers is chugging along good now. I haven't heard anyone complaining now. I
yeah,
still
no,
see lots
I
of
didn't.
really
That blew
cool.
over fairly quickly, but yeah. I
Mhm.
just thought that was funny.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that's about it. Oh, I didn't put this in here, but I do need to mention it because we talked about it last week, and it's I think I care about more. The Batman has been delayed. Texted you about this before. The Batman has been delayed a full year until October 2026.
I hate it. I hate it.
So,
I hate it.
I mean, it'll be 4 years if it does indeed come out then. I think that'll be like 4.5 years or something like that since the first one.
Mhm.
I mean, we're
That's
getting to
insane.
be like Bond movie separation here in Craig
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. That is insane. I hate it. And I don't believe it's for any creative reasons.
The writer's strike, that's what's being said. You don't believe it?
I believe that's an excuse.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't doubt that it could have affected, but I
Mhm.
think it's a convenient excuse to not prioritize. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean?
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
like, I think the writer's strike had far-reaching effects, and I would totally believe, like, especially if this was near to happening, like a small delay or whatever, but
Mhm.
no, I don't believe an entire year is affected by the writer's strike. I think it's exactly what I said, a convenient excuse to postpone something so James Gunn can, make more decisions about whether he wants to just cut it entirely
Mhm.
and, like, fade
Mhm.
interest so he can promote his own works.
Yeah. Because just right, that's what you do. You just let it fade out and
Yeah,
people forget it, whatever,
lose interest.
you know? They're better for them to do this now and cut it than let it be made and then just may take a big tax break with it, like they did
Mhm.
with the Batwoman movie or whatever.
Yeah, Batgirl, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Mm. I don't know. We'll see. It's interesting because the Penguin show should be coming out this year,
Yeah. Mhm.
which is supposed to have a cameo with Batman,
Mhm.
allegedly, and I mean, it's done shooting,
I feel like
and yeah, I don't
I
know.
feel like James Gunn maybe wouldn't have as much of a problem if he sort of cornered this into a TV show. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he can not
Cornered. What do you mean?
like the Batman, like maybe just like have Matt Reeves just work in like the TV medium.
And then have Batman on TV?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I look back at like now. I don't know what you. We didn't discuss this either. This is Denny Villeneuve's comments on TV kind of wrecking cinema. Says they're two different arts, and people are writing for the expectation of television now.
Mhm,
And it's very dialogue forward and not
mhm,
particularly cinematic or visually engrossing. And to
mhm,
him, he remembers the best films for scenes and shots and the visuals and
mhm.
not necessarily, this was the controversial part, not necessarily lines of dialogue or quotes and some of that.
Sure. Sure.
And so that was like, I don't know, an interesting thing of discussion, but I do think they are different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah. Um, I don't know. I don't it's hard to say whether or not I would disagree with that because I think for him, he just looks at things differently. You know what I mean? Like he's obviously in the medium that he wants to be in, the medium he thinks is like most effective storytelling, like and as a kid or, as a youth could have been impressed by that and sort of impacted, or like maybe that's the way his brain works, is like in a visual style rather than like talking.
Right.
um so I mean, I don't know that I would necessarily agree with that, but I think yeah, I don't know, I think that he's correct in the fact that people are writing for television more,
Hmm.
whether that's because television can do more or it's like a pollution of what, you know or I don't know, a pollution, a switch from when people would like write books so that they would get made into movies. Now they're writing so that things get made into TV shows, and they're just switching, and he's not
Yeah.
happy with that. I mean, that's legit.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot of people, like, flooding the TV market, um, and we've talked about the dangers of oversaturation before and, having too much content available, like, does that reduce the quality?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Because that's what other things he was saying is how like where people are just always ready for the next thing. There's not like a patience for a quality thing. It's just like
Mhm,
next to next to next to next. And it is
mhm.
sort of like, it's why webtoons are successful. It's easily digestible and continues on
Yep,
and on and on. And why binge watching is a popular thing. And just like feed me the continuous stream of stuff as opposed to like an eventized sit,
mhm.
consume the hopefully beautiful, meaningful, compact thing, and then move on, and like hopefully that left an impact and whatever. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I think I've been enjoying our movie daisy chain coverage recently is because I have moved away from the medium of movies. Like,
Yeah.
I was in the streaming, the binging, like just, new shows all the time because I do think there is good content. Um but it's also like easy to consume. It's right there, like it's continuous,
Yeah.
and it's been a nice break to have something be so finite.
Right.
Just start it, an hour, 47 minutes, 2.5 hours, an hour,
Yeah.
whatever it is later, I am done. And I
Yep.
don't need to be back here. So what do I think of this complete story?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's nice when you have that one show. It's like you have that one show that you can really get into and keep going with, but you
Mhm.
can't do that for 10 shows. You can't do
Right.
that for,
It's
so
exhausting.
yeah, yeah. Well, we'll get back on the daisy chaining thing. We'll see, and we
Yes.
got
I
good
mean,
movie ideas to work in, and yeah.
it's nice to take a break too, and obviously I've been enjoying not only for them being movies, but also, like, the movies of our adolescence.
Yeah. Yep. Yep, revisiting. Okay, well, speaking of television and how it's wrecking everything, we're going to talk about a new television show that is based on a book. It's called
Mhm.
Shogun. Shogun, I guess, but we say a lot of these words incorrectly. Shogun on
I was gonna say
FX.
you're in charge of pronunciation.
Yeah, I mean, there's this. You gotta make that call. It's like, generally, when we talk about the country of Mexico, we say Mexico because that's the English adaptation of Mexico. So we can say Mexico, but we might, if we're not speaking Spanish, we might sound a bit pretentious.
Indeed.
So I can say Shogun and samurai, and they sound very Caucasian. Or I can say shogun or samurai, but I'm not, if I'm not continuously speaking Japanese, it can sound a little funny too. So
For sure.
I go back and forth between being stickler on it or not, and everybody can judge me accordingly. But
Done.
episodes, yeah, episodes 1 and 2 of Shogun, we're going to talk about those in spoilerific detail. I think there's 4 episodes out now, maybe. Um, so we're a little behind.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're caught up on at least these first 2 that we're talking about. We'll stay a little behind, so you don't have to be right caught up on it with the latest episode all the time. But it's
Mm.
I don't know, it's a pretty interesting show I didn't see coming. I didn't know anything about,
Mhm.
and I kept hearing great things about it. The Game of Thrones of the samurai world. Some people were selling it as. So yeah, had to give it a shot. And 2 episodes in, what are your impressions here?
I like it. Um, I was a little worried in the first episode that I wasn't gonna get into it, um, but by the end of episode 2, I was ready to see our plot lines unfold and kind of understand how our characters were moving forward. I feel like the first 2 episodes really had to navigate introducing the world, the characters, the stakes, and the complex politics that were behind a lot of the movements and like why things were unfolding the way that they were.
Hmm.
And I think episode 2 really picked up steam in that department and took us to, okay, like we've got it. We've got the solid base. Here we are. We're going to move forward with the action now. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was ready for it all by the end of episode 2. I was like, great, we're moving somewhere. Let's do it.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I think I was into it pretty quick. I was really also sold on this because the lead actor, who his name I should remember because he's in everything. Uh
Mhm.
Hiroyuki Sanada,
Yes.
he is was saying how he really wanted to bring an authentic Japanese show to like Western audiences here and really
Mhm.
do this time period justice. And so it's like, okay, that sounds good to me. Someone that really cares about doing that right. Um, so very interested. And then I just realized that Atticus Ross, who often works with Trent Reznor, does some of the music. So that's pretty
Mhm.
cool. And yeah, I'm into it. It's got a fun cast. I didn't know where the story was gonna go.
Mhm.
Definitely makes me want to know more about Japanese history. Ashton and I
Yes.
were talking about how we're pretty up on modern Japanese history and
Mhm.
culture, particularly and stuff like that. But as far as going back a little further, it's really not. There's big gaps. Everybody talks about World War II era stuff. And then,
Right.
of some of the customs in like the Edo period and some of that. But really, like
Right.
when they were making more contact with the rest of the world and, all the Christian missionaries coming in, like that's a
Mhm.
big element that I'm really pretty unfamiliar with. So I'm,
Yeah,
yeah,
I am vaguely familiar just in terms of like, the lead English character in this show obviously comes from Elizabethan England, so like there's a general touchstone for me of like their
sure.
competition with Portugal and Spain and like their views on expansion and like this is I love the way that they're making contact with Japan because this is such like an Elizabethan characteristic where she's like on the one hand, you know, pretending to be like straightforward in her dealings with her rivals and then she's like sending off like secret mission ships to like sneak around and find out stuff and like establish her own like trade routes, sabotage their dealings. Like, absolutely, this totally fits with her kind
Hmm.
of like geopolitical strategy. So
Right.
that for me was like a lot of fun. I don't know that like every single bit I've looked into is factual, but like the essence of that totally.
Right. Yeah, it's a really cool. It creates a really nice tense situation. Definitely my favorite part of these first 2 episodes was when you had Blackthorn meeting with Toranaga and drawing out the map and stuff of the world. I love that whole moment because not
Mhm.
only does Mariko Sama have to like translate for sort of an enemy here.
Mhm.
Um, but then it's sort of like a mind blowing, like, whoa, we were told and kind of trusted one view of things here.
Mhm.
And are we being played? And
Yeah.
like that idea of like the attack of the pride of these Japanese people, like the being used and thinking that someone else owns them or lays claim to any of their stuff. Like I felt that moments like, oh
Mhm.
shit, like
Yep.
this kind of So I really like that and see what's gonna come of it, and,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was well done.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be so, like, just infuriating and yet, disenfranchising to feel that you're just goods divided up,
Right.
between nations and that you're replaceable and that you're just like, I don't know. Yeah, you're just part of like one country's assets and you're disposable. Like your leaders, your people are disposable.
Yeah.
So I thought the physicality I noted in that moment, like everybody's like body language, facial expression, there was a lot of physical acting happening that just really sold that as well.
Yep. Yeah, because it like I say, it gave me I don't know what exactly it is in there, but it gave me a good physical reaction too.
Mhm.
There's just, think about your worldview. I mean, so I wrote in my comments, and I don't know too much about it, but what is it exactly? And maybe there's a simple answer for this, and I don't know it. But like Japan, obviously, in a lot of ways, isolated for a very, very long time
Mhm.
because they're an island. Makes sense. They can defend themselves well, all that sort of thing. Um, and it's led to them having the crazy unique culture that the world loves today, that
Mhm.
sets them apart so dramatically from everyone else. What is it that made like the Western world map the world, like set out to
Oh.
circumnavigate the globe? It's like understand the entirety of this space that we can occupy, and then,
Mhm.
try to lay claim to it and stuff, like all that. It was like improved seafaring vessels? Is it like
Mhm.
extra competition because there's so many neighboring nations that, they're like seeking anywhere else they can? Do you have any insight into this sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't in terms of like what it is of for like these particular countries. I think it's certain peoples, it's certain times that have this happen because I mean, like certainly the West isn't the only or like people from Europe aren't the only ones to do this kind of thing. Like um I'm gonna I'm gonna diverge for a moment, but Everett is super into Moana, which I couldn't be prouder of because obviously my favorite person, Dwayne the Rock Johnson, is in. Um, but I was talking to Chris about it, like just kind of the different aspects of that movie, and he was like, "Well, it's based on a very real thing. Like the people from these Polynesian islands were just basically setting out sail as far as they could go and like making these maps and like discovering these new places and that was their deal. Like eventually they pulled back because of various different circumstances, but like that was their drive. Like they were housed in the Polynesian islands, but then they spread out all over to discover new places. So I don't know that it's like a uniquely Western or European centric characteristic, but I think this sort of like the way that it's often shown that I think is very accurate is it's very possessive when it happens. It's like an exploring that is conquering rather than like an exploration only. There's usually presented with a lot of this some sort of intent. Like we're going to establish a new colony, we're going to establish a new trade route, we're beating, we found that other people established trade routes and they're getting wealthy. We want to beat them at their own game and get wealthy ourselves and like claim this land for us. We have war like here we have this introduction to, you know, the Catholics are spreading. We as Protestants want to contain that, so we're like exploring in the name of our faith and like
Hmm.
hoping to reconvert people. So there's like this essence of purpose usually, some sort of claiming purpose.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't know what it is about that sort of, like, established worldview from Europe, but it's
Yeah.
certainly present in many of, like, this period and similar period dramas like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder how much like religion and then science have to do with it. Like, cause like how differently would you behave given your understanding of the world? Like if you feel that some like with the place you reside is say the center of everything
Mhm.
and like you kind of I don't know, but then like maybe you have someone that is really using the stars and they start understanding seasons and then start figuring out that the earth is round not flat and like
Mhm.
I don't know like an explorative sort of um because you're right, yeah, obviously it makes sense that there's someone that's has a purpose, a driving purpose to like spread or get more land, claim more riches for ourselves sort of thing. That makes a lot of sense, but you also have people like willing to sign up for some of these things. Like, let me go to my death to I don't know where, to
Yeah,
do this thing. And, I'm sure some people it's for, you know, fame
money,
or it's in hope that you get some sort of you get
recognition.
knighted or you become a baron or whatever for doing this or whatever. And so I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
interesting times. I like the time period this is set in. The world's changing, it's
Yes.
fun.
I mean, it's also, for in looking specifically at Europe, there are a lot of different peoples in very close proximity to one
Right.
another.
Hmm.
And there's like this, sense of looking outward in that way. They're all like interacting, intermingling, like, but separate, but with like very differing ideologies. And then you have nations like Japan that are a little bit more united, a little bit more, homogenous in their
Yeah.
makeup, that don't tend to look outward like that,
Yeah.
or just
Right.
tend to be less concerned with, spreading outward than attending to what's happening
Right.
with
If you're already kind of unified, then you're not trying to
right,
what do you have to seek to spread,
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Um I like the complexity of this show in the sense of like like we're introduced to the guy that is he's sort of playing both sides, it seems maybe. He's like the guy
Ooh,
that loves to boil people alive to see
yeah.
how long. And it's like, wow, this guy is rough. But and
Yeah,
then he's like, but then he's like also cunning and
yep.
kind of fun interactions with him and Blackthorn. So he's an interesting character.
Yes, yes, it took me till the 2nd episode to sort of, like, acknowledge his intellect and his grasp of events that are being set in motion and how he, yeah, like, can play both sides or even appear to be playing both sides.
Right. We don't
I'm
know.
I'm not quite sure if he's double agent or if he's only pretending to be, but either way, he's good.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
he's good at seeming simple enough to not betray anybody while potentially betraying anybody.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I liked him a lot more when he was in the 2nd episode when it did seem he was evolving beyond his, like, sort of simplistic initial first impression.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that it was a really good moment selling and like really trying to get the audience to understand some, and then the audience and also Blackthorn, like the way that the culture he's entering into exists. So like showing him not backing down, like saying he's testing me to go down the cliff and
Mhm,
to do that, and then for him to see that he was totally willing to just Hirikiri seppuku, just spill his guts and
mhm.
take, end it in his own on his own terms. Like right then, to me, I felt a click for Blackthorn. Like, wow, these guys are dedicated, and it's like all of a sudden he started to be a little more respectful, just a
Mhm.
little bit more. So I felt a shift there.
Yeah, I think he sort of shifted from his, like, And he got these lessons in rapid succession. I think he shifted from these, like, simplistic, "These people are savages, and I can just,
Mhm.
steal this trade and these people and their hearts and minds from the Portuguese after I, like,
Right.
blow up their, bases and whatnot, and I can just establish trade, and I'm gonna come in and be the big hero." And he was like, "No, they are a lot more complex than I thought. They are braver than I thought. They're, like you said, more dedicated to their causes, their lords." And then he, had the journey to Osaka and just had the big city revealed before him and was just like, "This is way bigger than I imagined." So
Yeah.
I think those were great lessons to close out that first episode of, like, this is a lot more complicated than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah. And again, just those mind-blowing things. Again, when you don't have a full understanding of the world and
Mhm.
the histories and anything like that. And maybe you and again, you think you do, but then so now you're in a place, you're in a savage land, whatever, and then you find out, oh shit, these guys have been around for like 1,000 years too, like building stuff from from the ashes, and like it just would be mind blowing. It's just
Yes.
you know in every which way, and so I just like all that. I think it's fun. Let's see. So there's a lot of little seeds here, like interesting relationships between people. So I
Mhm.
did again back to this guy. It's uh Kashigi Yabushige, boiling guy. Uh
Oh, yeah, mhm.
guy likes to boil people. So his interaction with Toranaga when he's like, yeah, bandits, through the like the knowingness between the two. Of like,
Mhm.
yeah, we better be careful with bandits lurking out there. I like
Yeah.
I like that little bit. And then with Lady Mariko with her husband clearly showing like some jealousy. Like, what are you doing outside of the house here, basically on this other stuff? Like, he's not being involved when she is. I just thought,
Mhm.
again, this is probably going to be a problem that rears its head at some point as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's super obvious. It's obviously a plot point that doesn't need, careful or complex handling. It's pretty straightforward. Like, he feels undercut by the fact that his wife is in on all these, like, councils with their lord and he's not. And it's like, it's so, as a viewer, it's so infuriating because it's like, do you have the skill that she has? No.
Right. Yep.
I don't know what else you want to, like, she's not there. I mean, it could be she's obviously shown, like, a pretty adept mind, and she grasps what's going on. And, like, Tornaga, when he's, like, laying out the options and she's, like, picking up everything he's laying down, she's got it. But also, like, face value. Do you speak Portuguese? No.
Right.
What do you
Right.
want then?
hmm What do you think of, speaking of that? What do you think of we have Japanese being spoken and then English, but it's supposed to be Portuguese?
Portuguese. I
Yes. What do you
mean
think of that choice?
it's good. Like, you know, I get it. Like, they're just shorthanding by saying, like, everybody's they make a lot of point about being
Yeah.
like, this is Portuguese, this is Portuguese. Like, we don't need another language. I get it. They don't want to do the entire show in subtitles. It's fine. It works. Like,
Just
whatever.
the logistics of finding people that speak Japanese and Portuguese.
Portuguese, yeah.
Yeah. you
Or,
know?
like, actors who can fake both well enough. Hi.
Yeah. Hey, puppy.
Hello. Down, Leah. So
She's
yeah,
so
I mean,
huge.
she is. She's 50 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the foster that we adopted her from thought she was only gonna get to, like, 30, 35. So a
Oops.
tad bit larger, as you can see.
What did you feed her?
Ah, yeah. That's it. Going on a diet. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So a
I
lot of
mean,
interesting characters.
yeah, I mean, sorry, just to quickly touch on the Portuguese thing again. I mean, I again, like, we've talked about, like, accents and, like, languages and stuff, and, like, I think everybody who does an accent, Leah down, does very well. So the
Mhm.
fact that they're, like, speaking accented English as, like, Portuguese works for me because, like, the accents work.
Yeah.
Where it's not and, like, our
Right.
one guy who's, like, speaking Portuguese, but he's English and he has an
Right.
English accent. It's fine because everybody's
Yeah.
supposed like, following the nationality that they're portrayed as.
It's a good point. Yeah. Let's
Do you
see.
recognize him, by the way?
Who?
John Blackthorne, Cosmo Jarvis?
I
He's
don't. I was
he's
wondering
he's
why Alan posted that in
he's
here.
in one of our favesies shows that got canceled that we really wanted, uh, to continue.
Raised by Wolves.
Mhm. He's the OG Campion.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I see it. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. It took me a minute. I
Well,
kept looking at him like, "Why do I know you?" Like, it
sure.
was really bothering me. I couldn't get it. I needed the Google help, but once I did, I was like,
Mm.
"Oh, yes."
He has a good voice.
Mhm.
I think he has a good voice. I was definitely saying if I was him, I would be less brash. Right, and
Yeah.
me out the gate. I mean, like they could just behead you. Like anytime. What do we? You're lucky they didn't. You
I
know.
wrote, I was like, "He sucks." Like, as a negotiator, he's
Yeah.
awful. He just
Yes.
storms out insulting everybody, being mad,
Yeah.
demanding things. Oh, he was terrible. He
Mhm.
was just awful. And he just kept, like, telling his men, like, "Oh, it's gonna be fine. We got this." Like,
Mhm.
oh, total B and then he would, like, go out and just, like, have no skills.
Yeah, I
And he
mean,
didn't
needed some motivation, I get it, to his crew, but, yeah, then a little diplomacy would be probably advisable. And I get being frustrated by, like, mistranslation,
right.
that would be a really frustrating thing to try to get your point across, and they're not gonna translate for you and some of that.
Right. Which feels ill thought out that, like, nobody thought maybe we should learn a little bit of the language. Like, we're just gonna
Yeah,
find Japanese people who speak Portuguese and it's gonna translate.
right.
'Cause
You gotta
his
steal.
big thing was, like, "I speak Portuguese, so I can speak to everybody here," and it's like, that doesn't work.
Right. Yeah. You can speak to your enemies, your
Right.
religious
Who
rivals.
who have their own obvious varying degrees of skill in the language.
Yeah.
I think we saw early on, like, the first father that we encounter, it's, like, so rudimentary. He has, like, "Man, enemy, this man bad." Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't have, like, sentences, and then we kinda flow up the ladder until we get to Osaka, where
Yep.
the next priest is far more proficient.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Um,
he sucked. He had no diplomacy. He had no, like, skill. He was all rough edges,
yep.
um, and just, like, totally had filthy pirate mouth, just
Yep.
insulting everybody everywhere.
Yep.
And also, just one more thing on his skills. If he said the phrase, "I'm not supposed to die here," one more time, I thought I was gonna reach through my screen and slap him.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't notice
Yes.
it that many times.
Oh, he said he would get himself in these situations, he's like, "I'm not meant to die here, I'm not supposed to die, like, I can't die in a foreign land." Like, some variation on that, like,
Mhm.
closed out, I feel like all of his stuff and everything that happened to him, he would just be like, "I can't die here." I was like, "I get it. Like, you're not supposed to die here." I think I
Yeah.
noticed it more because the show was very intimately questioning, like, the subject of death and, like, Yabushige was so interested in, like, the moment of death and, like, how you
Yeah.
approach your death, and so I started taking note of that, and then I started noting every time he said that, and I was just like,
Mm,
"What do you want then? Like, what did you envision your death to be if it's not here? Like, did you really undertake this voyage thinking, like, I can't die?"
right.
Because a lot of your fellow sailors did.
Right. Yep.
So,
Hmm.
anyway,
Yep.
I was very
Well,
fascinated by the way the show approached and treated death. because
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and I
we
think
just
that's
has
clearly gonna be continuing.
yeah. We just had a screen up a second ago with like one of the worst parts of episode one, and again trying to onboard us with the idea, like set in stone for us the type of Japan we're in right now, and with a guy that's like interrupts to say, "How dare you insult my lord that way?" And then he says, "I'll, as an apology, I will end my line."
Oh my god.
And I didn't realize it when he said that he has a baby already, so not good. Not
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely the most traumatic part of the show for me.
Mhm.
I mean, even including the whole, like, boiling, which was, very up close and personal for a couple of seconds there. I
Yep.
didn't expect that. I expected a little more, like, stylized, like, wide shot, and then they just got up in there. Um, and even still, the, yeah, the ending of the line and, carrying out
I'm glad
that
they didn't.
infanticide. I mean, I know we didn't see it, but we're obviously
Yeah.
know it's meant to have happened. That was definitely the worst.
Yeah, I was just glad they didn't go further in that.
Mm,
Like,
mhm.
it would have felt
That's a line. That's a
unnecessary,
line.
and, I
Yeah.
just didn't need it, so,
Yeah, that's a
yeah, I was
line that
happy
did
with that.
not need to be crossed, and I'm glad they didn't.
The show is shot kinda interestingly. I noticed a lot of wide camera angles, like, was in establishing shots, it's a very wide, where things are bending wide sort of camera
Mhm,
angle. I thought that was
mhm,
it was strange, it's like in the smartphone era, and we gotta do, like, super wide view. I don't know that I love it. Um,
mhm,
I'm not sure what the choice was there. So it's just to make
mhm.
the world feel bigger or something. But,
Sure.
I think that's the only thing I've noticed in the kinda cinematography that I haven't maybe been a fan of.
Sure. I can see that.
Yeah, and some cool musical beats, though, for sure. Kind of unique from what I would expect, not traditional, a little more, electrified in moments, but you know, kind of it hits, it's kinda cool.
Mhm.
And, yeah, I don't know, quality show. I'm having a good time, definitely ready to keep continuing. The worst part to me so far is all the commercial interruptions. Just Jesus Lord, if I could just get through the episode without commercial breaks, but so it will be. But yeah. Anything that you haven't
Ugh.
said that must
Sorry,
be said, or
I was freezing for the last 5 seconds, so I don't know what my facial expressions were doing.
I was
Um,
just counting on it clearing up.
let's see. Yes, I'm hoping so. Um, so I think the 2 things that I do want to note here are, like, some thematic explorations that I'm hoping, like, kind of keep going. Obviously, like I said earlier, the show is very concerned with, like, choice and death. Um, I know there's, like, some preview lines that are talking, like, we can only do 2 things in this world for certain, like, we live and we die. And I think there's a lot of centering around, like, life isn't a choice initially, but death is. I mean, I think life can, as you grow, be a choice. But your initial conception is not your choice. But um, so I am very interested in kind of keeping with that, and also this, like, tied in narrative of, like, what's your destiny and what's fated, which a lot of, like, our Japanese characters feel. And then our very English characters, like, I make my own choices, like, I'm independent, I choose, and nothing's fated for me. So I'm interested to see how these worldviews continue to shift as they interact with each other. um so that was something I was interested in. I was interested in, like, this, like, multiple hearts thing that
Mm,
Mariko and Rodriguez both kind of commented on and touched on in the last moments of the first episode.
yeah,
She says, "I have 2 hearts, one for my Catholic God, and then one for my earthly Lord." And then Rodriguez is like, "Here they say a man has 3 hearts, like, the one in his mouth, the one in his, like, body, and the one in his secret spirit." I don't know.
yeah.
That was
Yeah,
just
like
really interesting to
one you
me.
present to the world, one you show to your
Right.
friends, and one that's
And one
secret
you
or something like
hide.
that.
So
Yeah,
those were kind of like interesting philosophical, um, moments for me there. Those kind of like thematic explorations. And then the last one I was thinking of, is a little bit more, in the political realm. Um, so we have like our main Japanese lord that we're supposed to be kind of on the side of, Toradaga. He's fighting the entire Regents Council that's basically led by Ishido. And they're kind of like talking a lot around a common theme about like how being a common enemy unites everybody else. And so right now, like Toranaga is everybody's common enemies. Council is uniting against him. But now Ishido has like this, like, well, should we really be uniting around the common enemy of like the Portuguese are our enemy and like Christianity? Because like these two regions on the council could make trouble for me as Christians. Like when I take over, am I going to be everybody's common enemy?
right,
Like, I love how thought out everything is. I love that a lot of the time it's not just like this off the hip, like just gonna make a power grab.
right.
Every like nobody here, except for Blackthorn, he's very off the
Yeah,
hip, but like nobody here in Japan just does something without considering like the multiple layers. And I love
right.
it.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Would you rather just have a someone with a bigger target on their back? Maybe you wanna keep them around for that bigger
Right.
target. Yeah.
So you're a bigger target. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yep.
So I like the complexity of thought and like what am I forced to do, but what can I maybe maneuver around so I can still grab the power, but make somebody else the common enemy? Like, it's just, yeah, beautiful
Mhm.
political thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll hopefully get Dustin on the show sometime. I talked to him a little bit about a few different films, but he hadn't seen this yet. But he really wants to watch it and is excited to watch it. He's a big
Mhm.
samurai fan, and he was saying in Godzilla minus one, the people there were, so this is like end of World War II. It was talking like we've been a country obsessed with death, and now it's time to learn how to live. That was kind of the theme
Mm.
they had there.
Mhm.
And so if this show is exemplifying some of the really big elements of, some sort of focus around death, like how does that play out? And do we get continued contrast, between
Mhm.
life then and now, or even versus our Christians and the Japanese? Like,
Mhm.
yeah. So it'll be interesting if they play with that more.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this, differing ideologies. I mean, we're obviously seeing that it's a lot more disparate than the Portuguese Catholic religion is, or like their approach. Somehow it's like been assimilated and like they've connected enough to make converts, and that they can kind of like hold these dualities in their minds, where something about like the Protestant faith or like attitudes, actions, whatever it might be, it would be interesting to explore more why that's so opposite and why that's not melding. I mean,
Yeah.
I know they're obviously like different in practice, they're different veins of like an older
Yeah.
common faith, but different approaches. So I get it, but it would just be
Yeah.
interesting to like go through more why that is.
My final comment in my notes here was like, kind of again questioning the history here, my lack of knowledge in it, because I was saying how far and wide really was the reach of Christianity here at this point in time, because there really isn't much weight for Christianity in Japan now outside of a cultural effect, celebrating Christmas and stuff like that. Otherwise, it's not really a
Sure.
predominant religion.
Do you mean how far and wide was the reach of Christianity in Japan
Yeah.
specifically? Or like, okay, okay. I just was
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
sure you weren't saying like world stage. Got it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just in Japan. I'm wondering like if this is setting the stage for like a purge, or it would be a reason for the Christianity, like their numbers greatly being reduced. Like,
Yeah.
does this show lead to a thing like, oh, yeah, now they don't have any hold here because this is what played out, and so that's done. Like, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think there's already, like hints towards that possibility, but also there's definitely um I think an underestimation of the number of, converted people by Blackthorn because he just assumes like I'm going to go speak Portuguese and it's going to be fine because like the Portuguese have been here doing mission work for how
taken
long.
over.
So
Yeah,
right, like, so, I guess I can just go and speak Portuguese anywhere, I don't need to bother to learn Japanese. So there's already a miscalculation, I think, in the reach and the success that they've had.
sure. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I can understand it being inflated back home. Oh yeah,
right.
like we're really,
Yeah.
making
Well, that's
inroads, and
that's how you get more funding, more money to keep it going is like we're really,
yep,
really
really making
doing
a
it.
difference.
Yeah,
So many
yeah,
souls saved.
yeah. So,
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, I say, interested in what more kind of insights and really more, probably more questions it makes me ask about the history of Japan in this era. So
yeah, I definitely was, sleuthing because I was interested. Like I said, I know some very like bare bones brushstrokes of global policy at the time and like certain interactions, but nothing on the depth of like, is it true that like the Portuguese built up this fort in Macau and were, kind of planning to literally invade? I don't know.
right. Yep.
It's a good
Yep.
plot line, but I don't know if that has, like,
Yeah.
historical fact or basis, so gonna have to
Yeah.
look into that.
Yep. All right. Well, cool.
Mhm.
That's the
Thumbs
first
up.
couple episodes of Shogun. I agree. Thumbs up. Perfect. One of these times I'll have to show off my katana maybe here. I got
Yeah.
hanging up. It's it's like I have to move. I have a reflector up there for some light, and I have to move that or whatever to get it down. But I've got that, and then it's cool. We're talking about Osaka and stuff because I have a poster right here that I had framed and matted really nice that I got at Osaka Castle, and it's celebrating like a
Oh,
400-year anniversary or something. So it's in
very
like gold and
cool.
stuff of that. And
Yes,
um,
please play
yeah,
show and tell.
yeah. So I don't know that I'll take that off the wall, but maybe I'll take a picture of it or something like that. And
Sure.
yeah, but yeah. So, oh yeah, one thing I'm going to watch for in the next episode, that was the three. If they switch all the katanas around, they're all right now like in a peaceful position. But when
Sure.
you're in war times, you flip it the other way. So I want to see if they,
Interesting.
yeah, handles on the
Okay.
right side when you're in wartime. It's on the left when it's
Interesting.
peace. So
Okay. That seems well, I mean, that doesn't necessarily seem backwards, but that's interesting because I mean
if you're right-handed, you grab it,
right.
like you know, yeah.
Right, so
So
that's what I was thinking, but, now I'm assuming everybody's right-handed.
yeah,
Um, I mean, we'll definitely have to see because the still to come at the end of episode 2 definitely cut to a scene where it's like somebody says like, "So this means war," or like, "So we're at war."
okay,
So it's like
okay,
happening.
sure, yeah. I heard that too before. Like when you're in, I mean, if you're learning to use a katana, you are right-handed.
Ah, okay.
You are. So,
And if you're
yeah,
not, you're ambidextrous now.
you still are. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, awesome. Look forward to continuing episodes. We'll see how we want to break this
Yeah.
down. If 2 episodes a time works or what. We still have to get in our next. Did we decide on our next Daisy Chain movie? I know
We
we
decided on
kind
our
of come up with.
next one, and
Okay,
then
what's the
and then it
next
was like
one?
Fifth Element.
Okay, so we're gonna watch Fifth Element
Yes,
because
and
of
then
Bruce Willis.
right, and then we had, like, several exploratory variations for how we could get to other things. So,
Okay, so I need to watch Howl's Moving Castle.
mhm,
And for Monday, for those that aren't aware, we're going to talk Howl's Moving Castle on Monday on the
yes,
anime show. You watch Fifth Element some point here, and then 2 more episodes of Shogun.
yes.
So that's my priority list. Everybody out there, do that as well, so you can follow along and you can enjoy the spoilers as we discuss them. Very important. And you should make sure you find out when we're going live by
Mhm,
following us on the socials, X, Facebook. We're on lots of streaming services now. We've been on Twitch for the longest here where we live stream, but
mhm.
also now we're on YouTube, X, and Kick. So lots of places you can find us and follow us. It's Popcasts on the Rocks everywhere. On YouTube, we are separated. We also have Podcast on the Rocks and Ohio Anime and
Mhm.
Gamecast on the Rocks. So those are our three main things there. I was the other day I was going to do another stream, a game stream, play through the Batman games, but I started again and I had audio issues again. I don't know what it
Ugh,
is with like the Epic Games version of Batman Arkham.
sure.
It's just during cutscenes, there's no audio. So I don't know.
That's
I guess I'm
annoying.
gonna pick a different game or whatever. I don't know. So sorry about that. Sorry for the lack of content on Gamecast on the Rocks, but we'll get something going there. So, but a follow in all the places would be appreciated. Killing the Flower, they wrote our theme song. You can find them on music streaming services. It's Killing the Flower. And Track Mouse 34. That's our friend Mike. That's Track Mouse 34 on YouTube. Maybe I'm saying that too fast. Track Mouse, as in the rodent, 34 on YouTube, and just plain Track Mouse on Instagram. And racing season's coming up, so he does videos and posts photos and stuff like that about him working on his car. And as he does race things, he puts videos up of him doing laps on the road track. Has been too many videos recently because it's winter. So again, race season's coming up, then there'll be more. So make sure you follow him. MJ Honeybee, it's our friend MJ. She is a Dead by Daylight streamer on Twitch. So make sure you follow her. She does have a YouTube channel as well. And then Peter J. Gilbertson. Peter J. Gilbertson. On Amazon, he has a lot of like four sets of short stories.
Mhm.
It's all like paranormal horror kind of related stuff. The first one's Zombies at the Gates. And the last one is Vampire Autopsy, which is I think my favorite of the collection. I think that's the last one, or it's the third one. But either way, they're all regularly like $2 or something like that. They're a really great deal. You can buy them digitally, read them on your e-reader or whatever, and they're fun stories. So you should check them out. Peter J. Gilbertson. That's it. I
You
think
did it. You made it.
it's all the things. Yeah, be a little different every time. That's all right. So it's not read off a teleprompter. It's just coming from my brain to my mouth to
No
your ears.
pre-recorded no pre-recorded, videos and clips for you.
No, nope,
Genuine,
no.
authentic live experience.
That's right. Mhm, mhm. So yeah, live. That's Popcast on the Rocks, episode 161. Thank you very much for joining us, and Andrea, Thank you for being here as always.
Of course. Cheers, everybody.